Now, which is the formula I have to use to calculate activation energy? Catalyst is a substance which alters the rate of the reaction. The number of collision per second per unit volume of the reaction mixture is known as collision frequency. Effective collisions are those collisions which lead to formation of product. Now, what is P here? P is called as probability or the steric factor. Hello my dear students, welcome back to the last session on the chapter Chemical Kinetics. Last class we had studied about temperature dependence of the rate of the reaction, as well as we learnt about Arrhenius equation and activation energy. Today we shall solve the numericals on activation energy. I request all of y'all to have a book, pen, calculator as well as Clark's table along with you so that you can solve the numericals as I am solving. Okay, so we shall start. First question: rate constant of a reaction at 300 Kelvin and 400 Kelvin are 0.034 per second and 0.136 per second respectively. Calculate the activation energy for the reaction. Given R is equal to 8.314 joule per Kelvin per mole. First thing is, you have to know the formula to calculate activation energy. Before I write the formula, we'll just see what is actually given in our question. Okay, so rate constant is given at 300 and 400 Kelvin. Okay, so we have temperature T1 and T2. Okay, the respective rate constant K1 and K2 is also given. Now, why haven't I written the values here? It's because always remember the higher temperature is taken as T2. So we have 300 and 400 Kelvin. So 400 Kelvin I will be taking it as T2 and 300 Kelvin I will be taking it as T1. And the respective rate constants you have to write. So for 300 Kelvin the rate constant is 0.034 per second. So this is 0.034 per second, and for 400 Kelvin it is 0.136 per second. Okay, so we have T2, T1 value, K2 and K1 value. We are supposed to calculate activation energy, that is EA, and R value is given, that is 8.314 joule per Kelvin per mole. Okay, now which is the formula I have to use to calculate activation energy? That is log of K2 by K1 is equal to EA by 2.303 R T2 minus T1 by T1 T2. So this is the formula you have to use. Just for writing the formula you will have 1 mark. Okay, if it's a 3 mark question, 1 mark is for writing the formula, 1 mark is for substitution. So we'll write K2 value is 0.136, K1 value is 0.034 is equal to EA, I have to calculate 2.303 into R value is 8.314. Temperature, one more thing which you have to take care is temperature should always be in Kelvin scale. Here in the question it's already given in Kelvin scale, so I have no issues, I can directly substitute. But if it's not given in Kelvin scale, you need to convert it to Kelvin scale and then only you can substitute here. Okay, so T2 is 400. 400 minus 300 divide by 400 into 300. Now when it comes to the calculation part, usually the mistakes what you will do is, you try to solve it bit by bit. First you will multiply these two, then you will multiply these two and write inside the bracket, then you will write it as 100, divide by that number, you will get some other number. So doing all these things can lead to lot of confusion. You can make things really easy, that is, let this be as it is. First you solve log, okay, that is you divide these two numbers, you will get it as log 4 is equal to EA by 2.303 into 8.314 into 400 into 300, and in the numerator 400 minus 300 you have 100. Okay. Now what is log 4 value? It is 0.6021. So what I will do now is EA, I'll keep it on one end, and log 4 is 0.6021. I'll take the entire denominator to the other side, so this will become 2.303 into 8.314 into 400 into 300 divided by 100. 0 and 0 gets cancelled here. Now with your calculator you have to just multiply all of these numbers, you will get the answer directly. Okay, so what is the answer which we are getting? You will get the answer as 1334.19 and something. Okay, this is EA value. But here this is activation energy, so it is joule per mole. Okay, but for convenience what we can do is move 3 points and you can write it as 13.834 kilojoule per mole. If you get confused to convert, you can just keep it as joule per mole also. So this is the answer which you are supposed to get. So I hope you have understood how to solve this problem. Next question. The rate of particular reaction doubles when the temperature changes from 300 Kelvin to 310 Kelvin. Calculate activation energy. So here what have they given? The rate of a particular reaction doubles. Okay, it will double when the temperature changes from 300 to 310 Kelvin. Calculate activation energy. So you know T2 and T1, but you don't know K2 and K1, but they have given that the rate of the reaction doubles. That means K2 by K1 is equal to 2 because it will double. If it was triples, then it would have been equal to 3, or quadruples it would have been equal to 4. Okay, and T2 I told you always higher temperature, so 310 Kelvin. T1 is 300 Kelvin. Calculate activation energy. R you have to know, it is 8.314 joule per Kelvin per mole, that is gas constant, isn't it? So we'll solve this problem. Log K2 by K1 is equal to EA by 2.303 R T2 minus T1 by T1 T2. Okay, so let's substitute now. Log 2, because K2 by K1 is equal to 2, so we'll get it as log 2. Okay, EA we are supposed to calculate 2.303 into 8.314. T2 is 310 minus 300 divided by 310 into 300. So this is how we have done the substitution. Now what did I tell? Keep activation energy on one side and move the rest to its respective place. So log 2 value is 0.3010 into full what is there in the denominator will go to the numerator when we move on the other end, isn't it? So it will be 2.303 into 8.314 into 310 into 300 divided by 310 minus 300 is just 10. So 0 and 0 gets cancelled. Okay. So what is the answer which we are going to get here? The answer which you will get when you solve this is 53598.59 joules per mole. This is activation energy. So if you want to write it in kilojoules, it will be 53.59 kilojoules per mole. So this is the answer which you have to get. Okay. So let's see the next question. The first order rate constant for the decomposition of ethyl iodide by the reaction C2H5I giving C2H4 plus Hi at 600 Kelvin is 1.60 into 10 power minus 5 per second. Its energy of activation is 209 kilojoule per mole. Calculate the rate constant of the reaction at 700 Kelvin. So here in this question, activation energy is given. Two temperatures are given, that is 600 Kelvin and 700 Kelvin. At 600 Kelvin they have given the rate constant, but we are supposed to find out the rate constant at 700 Kelvin when activation energy is given. So how do we solve this? First we'll write the formula. Log K2 by K1 is equal to EA by 2.303 or T2 minus T1 by T1 T2. Okay. So log, see, temperature 700 is higher than 600. So K2 you are supposed to find out, not K1. So K2 I am supposed to find out. K1 is 1.60 into 10 to the power minus 5 is equal to EA is 209 into 10 to the power 3. Why? Kilo is 10 to the power 3. So it is 209 into 10 power 3 divided by 2.303 into 8.314. Okay. Then we have 700 minus 600 divided by 700 into 600. You have followed till here? So next what are we going to do? We have to solve all of this. We'll get a number. Now log I cannot find out because K2 by K1, K2 value I don't know. So after I solve this, whatever number I am going to get, that number's anti-log we'll have to find out, because log from left hand side when it goes to right hand side, it will become anti-log. So how to find out anti-log? I shall explain. Okay. So what is the answer which you are going to get over here? So here you will get it as 2.5989, isn't it? And here this will be log K2 by 1.602 into 10 to the power minus 5. Now when I take log on to the other end, it will become anti-log. So here K2 by 1.602 2 into 10 to the power minus 5 will remain. So I have to find out antilog of 2.5989. Now, how do I get the antilog value? Before I go into the antilog calculation, I'll just tell whatever is there before the decimal point, that will go as a power of 10. That is, here we have 2 number, isn't it? So it is 10 to the power 2. Now, antilog is found out only for numbers after the decimal point. So I have 0.5989. So how do we get the antilog value? Here 0.59. So I have 0.59. Okay. Next what number I have? 8, 9. So 0.59 under 8 I have to see. I am getting it as 3.963. Next number is 9. So mean difference 9, I have 8. So what is it? See here 0.59. Okay, next number is 8. So 0.59 under 8 I have to see, that is 3.963. Okay, or in your Clark's table this decimal point might not be there, just 4 numbers might be there as 3963. Okay, so you just remember it as 3963. Okay, that is under 8. Then you have mean difference 9. Why 9? Because I have to find the antilog of 0.5989. So 0.59 under 8, mean difference 9 is 8. Now I have to add this 8 to this number. So I'll get it as 3963 plus 8. Okay. So what is the value we got? Those 4 numbers, it is 3963 and mean difference we got 8, which we have to add. So 8 plus 3 is 11. So this becomes 3971. So this is the antilog value which we have got, that is 3971. Those 4 numbers, or some of the log tables after the first number there is already a decimal point, or we have to put that. So I'll tell how exactly we are supposed to write it. So how do we write it? It is K2 by 1.602 into 10 to the power minus 5 is equal to the 4 numbers 3971. After the first number I have to put the decimal point. It is always the same rule. When you get those 4 numbers from the antilog table, okay, after seeing the antilog, after the first number you are supposed to put a decimal point, and the value of which you saw the antilog value, before the decimal point whatever number is there, that goes as the power of 10. So it is 2 here, so it is 10 to the power 2. So this is the antilog value. Okay, now I have not yet got K2. So K2 is equal to 3.971 into 10 to the power 2 into 1.602 into 10 to the power minus 5. That is, I have moved what is there in the denominator onto the other end. Okay, so what is the answer which we are going to get once we multiply this? That is 6.35 into 10 to the power minus 3 per second. So this is the rate constant at 700 Kelvin. Okay. So I hope you have understood how to solve. Wherever necessary, you can pause the video and try to understand even better. Okay. That is about the different numericals which we have. Next we are going to learn about effect of catalyst on the rate of the reaction. So you all have already learned what is a catalyst. So what is a catalyst? catalyst is a substance which alters the rate of the reaction. It can increase the rate of the reaction and sometimes it can also decrease the rate of the reaction. But catalyst itself will not undergo any permanent chemical change, isn't it? So here we have an example of KClO3 and the catalyst added is manganese dioxide to form KCl and O2. This manganese dioxide will increase the rate of the reaction. Okay. Now there are two different theories for the catalyst. Here we are going to learn about intermediate complex theory. In intermediate complex theory, it is told that catalyst will react with the reactant to form an intermediate which is highly unstable and thus it can form products very easily. Okay. So to understand it better, we can look into this graph. So we have, this is the energy of the reactants and this is the threshold energy, that is the reactants which have or which can take up extra energy and reach the threshold level, then they can form the products, or the energy which they have taken up, we also call it as activation energy, isn't it? So here reactants has this amount of energy. Okay. Now without a catalyst, the reactants has to take up this much of activation energy. Then it will form or it will come to the threshold energy level and then it can form products. So this is the energy level of the product somewhere here. Okay. But when I add a catalyst, what will happen? The catalyst will collide or it will react with the reactants and it will form a new complex. A new intermediate complex is formed for which the activation energy itself is smaller. You can see it is just so much. If it comes up to this level for that particular intermediate complex, this is the threshold energy. So if it comes up to this level, that is sufficient to form the products. So I'll repeat, when I add a catalyst, the catalyst with the reactants will form an intermediate and that intermediate complex has lesser threshold energy level and it will form products very easily. Okay. Or I can also tell that after adding the catalyst, there is a new path which is followed by the reaction to form products, and for that path the required amount of activation energy is lower or it is lesser. Okay. So that is what we understand from intermediate complex theory. Okay. So according to this theory, a catalyst participates in the chemical reaction by forming a temporary bond with the reactant resulting in intermediate complex. This has a transitory existence, that is it is there only for just few seconds. Okay. It does not exist for a very long duration. Okay. And they decompose to form products and the catalyst separates out. So catalyst, what you have added in the beginning and in the end is looks like it is as it is or it is not reacted at all. But actually the catalyst has reacted with the reactants to form a complex which is highly unstable and immediately it will decompose to give the product and the catalyst back. Okay. Catalyst provides an alternate pathway or the reaction mechanism by reducing the activation energy between the reactants and the products and hence lowering the potential energy barrier. So I hope you have understood, and also this graph is very important for you all to learn. It has been asked in previous paper to just draw this graph with proper labeling. Okay. Next we have the characteristics of catalyst or catalyzed reaction. We know that in catalyzed reactions, a small amount of catalyst is sufficient to catalyze large amount of reactant. So we require very small amount of catalyst. Also, addition of catalyst will not change delta G value, or it will not alter even delta H values. Okay. Also, catalyst can be added only for spontaneous reaction. It will not catalyze a non-spontaneous reaction. Okay. And the last characteristic is, if it is a reversible reaction and a catalyst is added, the catalyst will increase the rate of forward reaction as well as backward reaction equally. What is it? If it is a reversible reaction and a catalyst is added, it will increase the forward reaction, that is the rate of the forward reaction, as well as the rate of the backward reaction equally. And the equilibrium is attained faster. Okay. So, catalyst helps in attaining the equilibrium faster by increasing both forward as well as the backward reaction. So these are some of the characteristics of catalyst and catalyzed reactions. Next we have collision theory for chemical reaction. So this is the last theory which we have. According to this theory, the reactant molecules are assumed to be hard spheres, and also the reaction will occur when the reactants will collide with one another. Next we have to learn about what is collision frequency. It's a very important 1 mark question. What is collision frequency? Now for example, I have some reaction which is happening inside the beaker. I have my reactants A and B. Now A and B should collide with one another to form the products, isn't it? So if this is the unit volume which we have taken, how many collisions will happen per unit volume in 1 second? That is called as collision frequency. What is collision frequency? Number of collisions that will occur in 1 second per unit volume is called as collision frequency, which is given as Z. Okay. So what is it? The number of collision per second per unit volume of the reaction mixture is known as collision frequency. It's a very important 1 mark question. I already told you all, isn't it? So for a bimolecular reaction like A plus B giving products, then rate of the reaction can be expressed. Okay, how can I write the rate expression? Rate is equal to ZAB e to the power minus EA by RT. Here, what is Z? ZAB represents the collision frequency of A and B, and e to the power minus EA by RT represents the fraction of molecules with energy equal or greater than activation energy. Okay. Now if I compare this equation with Arrhenius equation, that is K is equal to A into e to the power minus EA by RT, it looks like ZAB is nothing but Arrhenius constant, isn't it? So we can tell that the collision frequency and Arrhenius constant are somewhere related. Okay. Next we'll see what we have. Now whenever the reactants are colliding with one another, all the collisions will not lead to product formation. So the ones which will lead to the formation of product are called as effective collisions. So what is effective collision? Effective collisions are those collisions which lead to formation of products. The number of effective collision is governed by these two factors. Okay, that is energy barrier I already explained this. Energy barrier means the reactant molecules should be activated, or they should take up the extra energy called as activation energy. They should reach the threshold energy level. Only then if they collide, they will form products. So only activated molecules can form products when they collide. So that is energy barrier. The second barrier is orientation barrier. Now what is this orientation barrier? To understand this, I'll just take an example here of formation of methanol CH3OH from bromoethane. Okay, from bromoethane. Here this is nucleophilic substitution reaction. Here OH minus is a nucleophile which is substituting bromine atom in bromoethane to give methanol. Okay, but we know that if we take CH3Br, carbon and bromine bond, bromine has got partial negative charge because it's more electronegative, isn't it? It tends to pull the electron towards itself, whereas carbon has got partial positive charge. Now, when the nucleophile come and attack this bromoethane, if it comes from the direction where bromine is present, or it is coming in this direction, this is partially negatively charged, even this is negatively charged, and they will repel one another and we will not get the products. So OH minus has to come from the opposite direction than that of bromine. That is, if bromine is there onto my right side, okay, then bromine should come and attack from behind to the carbon atom, which is positively charged or partially positively charged. Then it will form an intermediate in which you can see carbon bromine bond is partially broken and carbon and OH bond is partially formed. It's an intermediate which is formed. Further, this bond is completely broken and a new bond is formed with OH to form methanol, and Br minus is removed. So orientation also is a very important factor for formation of the product. I hope it is clear with this example. Now the energy barrier and the orientation barrier has to come into our formula. So we'll get the formula, or for any reaction, if we want to write the rate expression, it will be rate is equal to PZAB, that is if the reactants are AB, e to the power minus EA by RT. Okay. Now what is P here? P is called as probability or the steric factor. Okay. And what is Z? That is collision frequency. So in collision theory, for the formation of the products, both the barriers have to be overcome. That is, the reactant molecules should have activation energy, as well as they have to be properly oriented. Only then if they collide, they will form products. Or for effective collision, we require the reactant molecules to have activation energy as well as collide in proper orientation. So both the factors were included here, as you can see. So I hope you have understood about collision theory as well. Okay, next class I'll be starting with a new chapter, alcohols, phenols and ethers. So see you next class. Thank you, my dear children. Stay tuned, stay focused.